What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Today, July 1st, happy Bobby Bonilla Day. We all made it to July. Hope you guys are going to have a wonderful 4th of July week and weekend. But we're going to be continuing our projection series. We're going through all 32 teams. We're in the thick of the NFC North right now. We're going to be going over the 2024 Green Bay Packers projections. We're going to open up the document and I'll kind of share with you guys my preliminary numbers, where we're at. And then I do want to say I'm going to post probably in the comments, and there should be a link maybe in the description if you guys want to check out the teams that I've already covered. This will be my 15th video. We've already covered the AFC East and the NFC East. We've covered the AFC North, and we're going to finish up the NFC North tonight. So we'll have half the league done. We'll keep moving through July and get all these videos cranked out. But we're going to hop right into it. What I do to start these videos is I kind of do a 2023 review, and that kind of sets the stage for what I'm projecting in 2024. Not in all cases, but it is nice to kind of look back and see what happened. And man, we got some interesting growth from Green Bay last year. Matt LaFleur he's entering his 6th year, but last year was his 5th year, and it was the 2nd year of offensive coordinator Adam Stenavich. And we saw some really positive growth just even from the Rodgers to the Jordan Love era. We saw the percentage stay the same for passing, roughly 64.5%. Passing attempts did go up by about 20, and we had 10 more completions, which was nice to see. And the passing yards, I thought this was a big one. The passing yards were almost 300 yards more, which is, that's quite a bit. And the yards per attempt we're up to 7.25 the year before with Rodgers 6.91, and Jordan Love also threw for more touchdowns than the year before. 32 total team touchdowns, 27 total touchdowns in 2022. So you have it's nice. You kind of maintain what you do with the passing game, and it improved. Like, you were able to throw the ball 20 more times, complete the same amount of percentage of throws, and throw the ball for almost 300 yards more and 5 more touchdowns. Like, that's a huge improvement from the year before. And honestly, we left a lot on the table. That first 2 months of the season, the Packers were kind of stuck in the mud and they couldn't really get games going, especially early in games, and they would have to come back from behind. But, they really hit their stride at the end of the year, one of the hottest offenses in the league to finish the season. Maybe they kind of step right into that, and I think there's room for improvement. So 2023, we saw a growth in the passing game with Jordan Love and these receivers. Looking at the running game, that shrank a little bit, and that, to me, it's mostly due because Aaron Jones missed a lot of games. Aaron Jones only 142 carries in 2023. The year before, he had 213. So he, significant amount less Aaron Jones. A lot of AJ Dillon last year, just it wasn't very good. But they run the ball about 15 times less than they did in 2022. 1,900 yards, down from 2,100, 0.3 yards per carry less than the year before, and only 10 rushing touchdowns. So the numbers in the rushing column, I think, are going to go up this year. We'll see how much they go up, but hopefully they're not, relying on AJ Dillon for 9 to 10 starts this year. And I think they did enough to add to that room and make it better. So not the best running game last year, but Aaron Jones finished on a freaking tear. He had his last 5 games over 100 yards rushing, and the offensive line kind of gelled at the end of the year. Aaron Jones was just on fire, and he was one of the best players in the league, not just at the running back position, but he was one of the most elite playmakers in the league down the stretch and helped Green Bay advance in the playoffs, ultimately losing to the 49ers. But, the numbers are deceiving here. Green Bay ran the ball better with Aaron Jones. AJ Dillon, man, he's just kind of dusty at this point. But I do think this is a solid foundation in which the Packers running game can grow from. So only 10 rushing touchdowns, that number's going up. And overall, man, like, this offense improved, I would say, significantly, passing the ball, more downfield stuff and kind of stretching the field, and a little bit less predictable than the Aaron Rodgers-led offense. The running game settled down because of the loss of Aaron Jones, but I think we're expecting both the passing game and the running game to project forward in the 2024 season. So with that being said, let's look at what I got for numbers on the 2024 season. This year, I got Jordan Love improving in pretty much all categories. 385 completions, 585 attempts. He was at 579 last year, so I have them throwing the ball a little bit more. In theory, if the offense is better, they're running more plays, they're on the field just even for a series more per game, that could add up to more plays, converting third downs and things like that. So I have his completion percentage up about 1.5. His passing yards up to 4,355. He was at 4,159 last year, so roughly 200 more yards, and I have his yards per attempt growing a little bit as he's gelling with these receivers and his, his young tight ends and young receivers, a little bit more chemistry downfield and just a little bit better connection downfield. 33 passing touchdowns, up one from 32. A few more interceptions this year as maybe he's a little overconfident in some situations. And then rushing attempts, 55 rushing attempts, 275 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. He was Green Bay's leading touchdown guy on the ground last year with 4 rushing touchdowns, about 250 yards. So a little bit of growth there. But overall, man, like I think Jordan Love, he only played good for half a year, guys, and he still balled out, statistically last year. So this could be a floor situation for him. If I, would have extracted his last 10 games of data and just saw where those might have ended up, I think we probably would be projecting Jordan Love a little bit higher. But I am very much interested in Jordan Love. In best ball drafts and in redraft leagues, I think for sure he is a potential top 5 QB, and you can get him around QB 10. I love those prices, especially, just he's going several rounds after, some guys, that I think he's in the same tier or if not above. I think he's just as valuable as CJ Stroud, if not a little bit more, because he does run the ball and gets touchdowns and things like that. So I think you're getting a pretty good value on when you're drafting Jordan Love. In terms of my projections, he comes in at QB6. And that's higher than Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, some big names that go ahead of him. So if you just sit tight and want to wait for Jordan Love, I mean, I'm 100% all in on a Jordan Love quarterback team, whether it be redraft or best ball or dynasty, whatever this year. So draft Jordan Love confidently. Worst case scenario, he's QB 10, 11, 12. I think you can survive that, especially for how late he goes in drafts. And if he does take a step forward, you're looking at a top 5 potential quarterback some weeks. So we love Jordan Love. We'll look at the running backs next. We are led by Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, A.J. Dillon, and then a couple guys there, Emmanuel Wilson and Henry Pearson, just at the bottom of the barrel. We're going to ignore those bottom 2 guys. We'll start with Josh Jacobs, who comes in for Aaron Jones. I think what the Packers are looking for is just consistency. They want someone that can be available every week, and that was a large part of Aaron Jones leaving. They also owed him some money, and he didn't want to restructure and things like that. He's also getting up there in age. So the Packers cashed in Aaron Jones, bring in Josh Jacobs, and, he didn't have the best statistical year last year. I think there was a lot going on with the Raiders, not the best team as a whole, a young, rookie quarterback that was a late round draft pick. And maybe Josh Jacobs just wasn't all that interested in playing last year and just kind of eating it. But I'm willing to kind of overlook that because in 2022, he was fantastic. It's hard for me to see someone have a career year in 2022 and then such a bad year last year and think that, oh, yeah, he's closer to 2023. So he's probably somewhere in the middle coming into this season. It's tough because Matt LaFleur always divides his carries up. The year before, Jones was hurt, but 142 carries for Jones, 178 for Dillon. The year before, 213 for Jones, 186 for Dillon. 187 for Dillon, 171 for Jones, 201 for Aaron Jones, 119 for Jamal Williams. We have to go all the way back here to 2019, 236 carries for Aaron Jones, 107 for Jamal Williams. That was the most carries Matt LaFleur has given a running back since he's been in Green Bay, 236. So I don't have Jacobs quite hitting that mark. I have him at 225, just under 1,000 yards, 8 rushing touchdowns. I think Packers running the ball more is going to be a focal point, and A.J. Dillon was just so bad last year. He was running at 3.44 yards per attempt, putting the offense in bad situations, second and longs, third and longs, things like that. Where Jacobs, I think that 1 extra yard per carry, man, that's going to convert more third downs. It's going to, just convert more scoring opportunities, field goals, touchdowns, red zone opportunities, all that for the rest of the offense. So I'm interested in Josh Jacobs, especially as a running back too. We've seen things happen for the running backs in Matt LaFleur's offense. And if Josh Jacobs had double-digit touchdowns this year, I wouldn't be surprised. I do have him involved as a receiver as well, 40 catches, 50 targets, 245 yards, and a touchdown. I need to watch training camp, though, because I think the RB2 is Marshawn Lloyd, who could eat into that target workload. I think, we're looking at almost a 2/3 split where Josh Jacobs gets 2 carries to Marshawn Lloyd's 1. I have Lloyd at 100 carries, 435 yards, 3 touchdowns, 25 receptions, 35 targets, and 205 receiving yards with 2 receiving TDs in there. I think he is the new electricity, the new juice to the running back room that Aaron Jones has left behind. Jacobs is just an improved version of AJ Dillon, in my opinion. So he's going to plot away, get his 4 or 5 yards, and break off a couple big tough runs every now and then. But when we need a big play, it's going to be Marshawn Lloyd breaking off chunks of 15 and 20 yards, making a huge screen pass go for 25, things like that. So I do expect Lloyd to be heavily under a microscope, I think, in July and August for training camp. And if he's getting the buzz and it's sounding like he's a huge part of the offense, I'm willing to adjust these numbers. But for now, I think he's best, draft, especially in a redraft league, man, draft him in the double-digit rounds, put him on your bench. If Jacobs goes down, like Marshawn Lloyd could be a league winner, because he's clearly better than AJ Dillon, and they don't really have anybody behind Dillon. So I think it would be Marshawn Lloyd heavy in this offense if something happens to Jacobs. But he's one of my most drafted running backs in best ball leagues in the double-digit rounds. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities to impress as a receiver, and we know he's a really good running back. So I like Jacobs, I like Dillon, I like Marshawn Lloyd. Let's see where I have these guys ranked. I have Josh Jacobs at about RB16. So again, just a solid RB2. I think every week he's going to be involved, 15 to 18 touches per game. Kind of a volume play, and if he does fall in the end zone a lot, then you're in good shape. Marshawn Lloyd, I do have RB45. So again, just a guy that I want on my team, on my bench, hold on to him throughout the season. And he's one injury away from being a must-start player. And honestly, if he comes out week 1 and he makes a couple good plays, and maybe they have to find a ways to get him the ball more, and he's, maybe he forces the Najee Harris, Jalen Warren type split, something like that could emerge in Green Bay. But we know Matt LaFleur gives his RB2 a lot of opportunities, so you should be open to Marshawn Lloyd. But that's enough on running backs. We'll look at the exciting wide receiver group next. And we're talking Jayden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks, Bo Melton, and Malik Heath. Last year, we were very concerned about this group, but man, they all played really well. And I know Christian Watson was in and out of the lineup, but when he did play, he had a couple banger games. But I think the clear lead on this receiver group is Jayden Reed. He's going to be the guy that leads the team in targets, probably yards, probably receptions, and probably touchdowns, honestly. Maybe Josh Jacobs can lead them in overall touchdowns, but I think Jayden Reed is the receiver that you're looking for in Green Bay. He also gets carries. And honestly, he's kind of he's very similar to a Zay Flowers, and I don't get it because Zay Flowers goes end of round 3, round 4, whatever. Jayden Reed, people kind of just are like, yeah, whatever, we'll grab him in the 5th. I think he is Zay Flowers. Like, it's the same profile. They're going to get a handful of carries. They're going to be, if not the first target, the second target in a lot of games. And Jayden Reed showed last year that he has a really good connection with Jordan Love, and it could be a really special thing that they have going on there. So I have Jayden Reed, clear wide receiver 1. And honestly, like, I'm kind of lowballing these numbers here. I think it could grow. 15 rushing attempts, 105 yards, and a touchdown. I have him at 76 receptions on 110 targets, 890 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And honestly, he caught 64 balls on 94 targets last year, 793 and 8 touchdowns. Like, I'm kind of lowballing Jayden Reed. So I think he's as safe as they come. He looks great as a wide receiver 3 on your team, and he could finish top 15, top 20. He's easily the most consistent, the safest play if you want a Packers receiver on your team. Now, the complete opposite of consistency and safest is going to be Christian Watson, who, he had the hamstring injury at the beginning of the year. And this offseason, he spent some time in Madison getting those hamstrings looked at, and he found an inconsistency between the two. So he's working on getting those hamstrings of equal size, shape, and ability. And man, if he stays healthy for 15, 16, 17 games, and he's that big play deep threat receiver that they need to kind of keep the safeties back and things like that, it could be a really nice season for Christian Watson. Now, I like him more in a best ball platform. Still like him in dynasty and redraft. It's going to be hard to trust him every week, but we know he can put up 20, 25 points on any given day. He could hit a 70, yard touchdown any day. So I have him at 50 catches, 95 targets, 725 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That would be pretty much a career year for Christian Watson. And at this point, we just want to see him stay on the field, because numbers do follow him when he's on the field. So that's his most important thing this year. And I like Christian Watson. He's in the 7th round, 6th round of best balls right now. I like collecting him on my teams as my 4th receiver. Up next, we have Romeo Doubs, who is sneaky good. I think he's kind of like a Michael Gallup type player, where before injury, Michael Gallup was, he flirted with 1,000 yards. He was a touchdown guy. He had some really nice moments. And as the team's clear number 3 receiver, but I just want to say not so fast on that because he's going to he might lead this team in snaps and routes. So there's an outside chance that Romeo Dobbs is he's the one on this team, especially if they start doing other things with him. And there were some good reports on him, good quotes from Matt LaFleur. So I actually think Dobbs is wide receiver 2 on this team. I have him at 60 catches, 95 targets, 695 yards, and 7 touchdowns. I have Dobbs leading the team in touchdowns, receiving touchdowns. And for best ball purposes, man, he goes, 9th, 10th round right now, which is a pretty good deal to get a guy that has a chance at, 800 to 1,000 yards, 7, 8, 9, 10 touchdowns in this offense. And he's not going to pop out in a lot of the advanced metrics, but he is a good contested catch receiver, has the trust of Jordan Love, and he's a big red zone kind of big. He shows up when you really need him, and he had a really really strong preseason as well. Or postseason, those final 2 games in the playoffs against Dallas and San Francisco. So I still like Romeo Dobbs, and then you can't sleep on Dontavian Wicks, who is everyone's favorite wide receiver sleeper there. 41 catches, 65 targets, 565 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Obviously, he's going to need some help, whether it's, I don't want to say anyone's getting injured, but he's going to need an injury for him to truly blossom into a fantasy relevant player. I'm grabbing him in best balls because he's going to have some moments where he does pop off. He's going to rotate in. They're probably going to run a lot of, 3 and 4 receiver stuff. And he's going to rotate in on those 3 receiver stuff. But I think, man, if there's an injury to someone above him, that's going to put him in the starting lineup, and he's going to be probably a startable flex player in fantasy football. So grab him late, sit on him, draft him in best ball, and then don't sleep on Bo Melton, who was really coming on strong last year late. I'm sandbagging his numbers here. I've been drafting him a lot in best ball, though. I need to find a way to get him more targets and yards because I'm just a little shy on him. But he was fantastic down the stretch last year. 16 catches, 24 targets, 218 yards, and a touchdown. They like to run the ball with him, too. So don't sleep on Bo. And then Malik Heath is just there as, the wide receiver 6 on this team. But overall, man, this is a really strong group. I think you want to take some players from this group whenever you can in your best balls. I think redraft, though, it's Jayden Reed that I want. And you can maybe take a Christian Watson when he falls. I do have Jayden Reed here at wide receiver 28. That's ahead of guys like Malik Neighbors, Pittman, McLaurin, Zay Flowers. And then the next best guy here, Christian Watson down here at wide receiver 57. So again, just a bench piece to start the year. Maybe he can grow and be your starting receiver for you. And then actually I have Romeo Dobbs at wide receiver 53. So Dobbs and Watson will be of use. And then maybe don't sleep on Dontavian Wicks. So we like the receivers. Let's finish up here with the tight ends led by Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, and Tyler Davis. Both rookie tight ends had moments last year. Luke Musgrave finished the year strong, or Tucker Kraft finished the year strong last year, but he has a pec injury that he's nursing right now. He may or may not be ready for the start of training camp in July, but I'm leaning towards him being the clear tight end 2 in this offense. Luke Musgrave is going to come in. He's had all the healthy OTAs and things like that, and he's entrenched as the starting tight end. I think he's an ideal tight end 2, especially if you wait and you want to grab Pat Freiermuth and Luke Musgrave and just see how it goes out. I think that's a good way to play it. Otherwise, it's an exciting offense. You want to get a piece on this. Maybe he steps into a bigger role. There's a chance he could be top 10, top 12 at the tight end position, but I have him at 48 receptions, 68 targets, 535 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Just kind of improving on what he did last year. 34 catches, 46 targets, 352 yards, and a touchdown. I expect him to be more involved this year in his second year. And then Tucker Kraft is still good, but we need to know what's going on with the pec. I have him as the clear tight end 2, 28 receptions on 37 targets, 295 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's just a reliable backup tight end. And probably not going to draft him in redraft leagues. You can, take him with your last pick in best ball, although I don't know if that's going to help you that much. But keep an eye. If anything happens to Luke Musgrave, we'll be talking about Tucker Kraft. Well, let's go see where I got the tight ends ranked. I got Luke Musgrave down here at tight end 21. So it feels pretty low, but again, all these guys are healthy above him. He's healthy as well. Some of these guys are going to shake out that could put him into the top 15 or so. So I think, best case scenario, he's between tight end 10 and 16. Worst case scenario, he's about tight end 21. So a tight end 2 with some upside there. And then I do have Tucker Kraft at tight end 32. So just kind of in the mix, having fun as the backup and could be a potential starting tight end if anything happens. But there you go. That is the 2024 Green Bay Packers projections. very excited about this team. Um, Man, like the sky's the limit. The way they ended last year, Matt LaFleur really shined as a play caller. Jordan Love was calm and cool, delivered in some really big moments that beat the Cowboys, and they honestly should have beat the 49ers. A couple things just kind of fell out of order at the end there. But it's going to be the running game, man. What are they getting out of Josh Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd? Is that going to be uh, better than 50% of Aaron Jones in games last year with AJ Dillon? We'll see. I think that's going to be the ultimate factor. Can the Packers run the ball better than they ran last year? And we shall see, because when they were running the ball with Aaron Jones, they were one of the best teams in the NFL. So we'll see what happens. Draft your Packers. Enjoy. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you so much for your time and for watching the video. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys in a future video. Peace.